Well, first of all, welcome again to this expedition talks. Today is the third expedition talk that we have done over the last few days. The first day was Honstrandir on the West Fjords of Iceland, the hike and sail trip that we run in there. Yesterday was Baffin Island, that is the most challenging backpacking trip we have at the moment. Today it's the Hidden Trails of Iceland, that is kind of like our signature trip. And tomorrow will be Greenland. We are Monica and Albert. We are the CEOs of Amarak Adventures and the lead guides of the company. We created this company way before COVID. We are both certified guides. We are senior polar guides by Polar Tourism Guides Association. And we are, among other things, wilderness first responders by NOLS. We love it. We decided to start this company many, many years ago with one unique objective. We were very tired of running the trips for other people, trips that to us meant very little and that were a little bit meaningless somehow. And we really wanted to create real experiences out in the wilderness. We are the ones behind the emails and everything. We are the ones running the trips. However, for this year, we have a small surprise that probably if you have been following the Facebook group, you might know about. That is that we have Johan, that it's going to be our new guide. He's going to be joining this year for out of 8 trips of the Hidden Trails. So Johan and both of us, we used to work together long time ago. We used to work together many years ago in the same company, and from the very first time that we met him, he became a really good friend of us, really good friend of ours. After working for this company, he started working as a warden for 7 summers along the Laugavego Trail, and then he became part of Ferðafélag Íslands, that it's the association running all of this hut, and he decided to just keep pursuing his career as a professional guide and driver. So over the last 3 years approximately, he has been driving our groups up and down. And last year he joined me on a group, on one of the groups that we have during the summer, and I tried to teach him everything that I know about the places that we go, the menus that we do, the detours we take, and everything, how to make you folks happy. And everyone in the group loved him very much. Very much. So there's gonna be 2 groups this summer that you folks are gonna be guided by him, but you will get to see us either at the beginning of the trip or at the end. Okay, we are gonna be also out in the mountains, but we will cross paths at some time. Okay, so I'm gonna give Monica the word, and she is going to start talking a little bit about this general overview of the trip. As I said before, remember that we are not gonna be talking today about the day-by-day itinerary, more like a general vision of the whole trip, and then we will focus on more logistic stuff. Okay, Monica, stage is yours.
Hi everyone. I want to start talking about this beautiful journey through the Icelandic Highlands this summer. And this is a trip of 12 days, but we are gonna be hiking 10 days. So we are gonna cover in this trip over 150 kilometers, like there is 90 miles. And for this, we are going to use different kinds of mountain huts. We'll talk about these different mountain huts later. The guest house is the first accommodation of the trip. Daily, we are going to hike between 7 and 25 kilometers. That means 4 to 15 miles, depending on the day, and also depending on the weather conditions. Sometimes if the weather is too bad, we choose the short trail to the hut. So it depends on the weather, depends on the day. And also in terms of elevation gain, the maximum is 700 meters high. That is 2,300 feet. Usually it's going to be up and down, and don't think that Iceland is completely flat, because it's not. Iceland has a lot of, different terrain, different landscapes, but beautiful. General overview of this trip. We have 10 days of hiking, 1 day arrival, 1 day departure, 2 days in Landmannalaugar. So that's really good because the first 2 days you don't have to carry the full backpack for going hiking, because we just have to carry a day pack with water, clothes, and a little bit of food. These 2 days also we are going to enjoy the hot pool in Landmannalaugar. That is one of the highlights of this place. So it's going to be like a small introduction to the journey, these 2 days. And we'll have 6 days of the beaten track. Those days probably is just us hiking, because in Landmannalaugar we are going to find people for sure. It's a big hut. And all the huts of the Loigavegur Trail will have more people. But these 6 days of the beaten track, probably, and most of the time, is just us. And then we have 2 days at the end of the journey in the Loigavegur Trail. So the last 2 stages of the Loigavegur Trail are the last 2 days of the trip. We have our base camp here in the photo in the left, and we can meet here for the briefing the first day in Reykjavik. Our base camp is located in the old harbor, close to downtown, so it's not very difficult, even if you want to walk there or take the bus to go there. We'll let you know the time 10 days before the trip, and the address, and all these details to find us in Granny. As I told you before, the first accommodation is going to be a Midgard base camp. That is a place, it's a guest house in Kvosvaklur. That is a small village, 1 hour and a half driving from Reykjavik. So we'll arrive here around between 6 and 7 p.m. after a briefing in Reykjavik, and we'll have a little bit of time for relax and then for our dinner. And so we'll have dinner here. Remember that the first dinner is not included, so dinner in Midgard is not included that day. And but the rest of the meals on the trip, they are included for sure. And in the right photo, you can see the rooms. So it's 4 people bunk bed rooms. So you have your own bunk bed with your curtains, your private space, your own light. So at least you have a little bit of privacy there. And it's a very nice place, very cozy, very familiar business. So we know them since long time ago. We are very friend of them. And it's a very nice place to start this great adventure.
Yeah, so after staying in Midgard Base Camp in the south of Iceland, well, the first reason why we go here is because from Reykjavik to Landmannalaugar, we would have between 4 and 5 hours to drive the very first day if we would go straight into there. But by adding this first stop in Kolsvöllur, in this Midgard Base Camp accommodation, we just reduce it to half of the time. So the very first morning we just drive, and takes us about like 2 hours and a half approximately to get into Landmannalaugar. In any case, after using this accommodation, that as you could see of what Monica has shown you, it has kind of like different rooms for every 4 people. We just we will just get into the real deal that it's just staying on the mountain hut. So during the Hidden Trails trip, we are going to be using two different kinds of huts. We could actually say that we would be using three different kinds of hut, but we are just going to keep it into two. So we are going to stay on the big huts that normally belong to the Luigavego Trail. That, as you can see in here on this slide, it says four big huts, but I'm going to include a fifth that I'm going to talk about it later. Okay. In any case, the ones that we are going to be using during the Luigavego Trail, um, or that are placed in the Luigavego Trail are Landmannalaugar, so the first mountain hut where we are going to stay for 2 nights. Then we are going to be using Álftavatn, Emstrur, and Þórsmörk. Þórsmörk would be the last one. Álftavatn, Emstrur, and Þórsmörk, they are just one after each other. So they are the last mountain huts where we are going to be staying. These huts are bigger. They have wardens during the whole summer around. They have showers outside of the hut on a separate building, and they have large rooms. Also, the capacity of these huts is much, much bigger. Okay, for example, just to give you an idea, Landmannalaugar hut, if I'm not mistaken, is around 60 people or 70 people. It's quite big. And there is a very huge difference between the mountain huts all around the world and the mountain huts in Iceland. The mountain huts in Iceland, they do not offer meal service. So you don't have a cook just working constantly on the hut and serving meals to the guests. What we have in here is just a big kitchen where we cook, okay, for everyone. It's the same on the small huts that we are going to get to see now, that are pretty much our favorite. So in here, you can actually get to see, right, like the size of the hut in here on the picture in the middle, down in the middle with the picture from before, that it's pretty huge hut. Yeah. So this off the beaten track huts, we are going to be staying in four of these huts. They are small, they're historical huts. Some of them used to belong to the farmers, to the shepherds. And back on the 90s, there was a hiking club that decided to purchase all of them and rebuild them and refurbish. So they are very remote, they are basic, they don't have wardens, but we do have a booking for every single of them, meaning that we are never going to be lacking space on these mountain huts. However, as I said, they are much more basic. They don't have showers. The kitchen tend to be a little bit smaller, and the toilets similar as on the big ones. They are always outside on a different building. Okay. The small ones, they are heated with these gas stoves. Okay. So on the small ones, we don't have, like on the big ones, electric stoves or geothermal power stoves that keep the hut warm during the night and during the day. So on the small ones, we only have the gas stoves. And of course, because of safety, we need to turn off these gas stoves in the night. So you can easily go to sleep and just fall asleep, and then we will turn off the heating in the gas heaters. Okay. This is all because of safety. And then I decided to add this welcome home image in here, because even though these mountain huts, they are more basic and rustic, I can tell you that people love them much more than the big ones. They have something special, something else. We don't know if it's the atmosphere around them, if it's the place where they are, or everything, but everyone loves them much, much, much more than the big ones along the Luigavego Trail. And then we have that fifth mountain hut that I was talking about, the Hólaskjól mountain hut. So Hólaskjól is big. It's a big mountain hut, but it does not belong or is not placed along the Laugavego Trail. It is right in the middle of the hidden trails. So it's gonna be the moment that we arrive in Hólaskjól, we still have half of the trip to finish. Okay, it's a big hut. It has a small store that sells drinks and some snacks. So we know that at some point in the trip, some people are just craving some sweets or gummy bears or stuff, you can just go in there and purchase that. If you want to have a beer, you can also purchase it there. It has charging outlets that you might be surprised that we haven't mentioned it on the PDF brochure. And the reason why is that from time to time, the electricity goes away if there's some storm or some problems. Okay, so but otherwise, these charging outlets have been working without any issues for the last, I would say, 5 years. And I think we have only had once, yeah, on the last, when was COVID, 2020, so 6 years. Yeah, I think only once since COVID that we had a little bit of a trouble, that there was a lack of electricity. But otherwise, it's working nonstop and you can recharge your devices. Remember that for recharging your devices, you will need, if you're coming from the US, for example, you will need the C plug, okay, or the converter for the plug in the wall. And then it has showers. Then, in terms of meals, all meals are included. As I was mentioning before, in the huts, the guides, we are the ones cooking for you all. And over the years, we have developed a quite nice menu. Every night, you will eat something completely different and with local products, fresh vegetables, and with a very, very big variety. Forget about dehydrated food. We are not gonna be serving you dehydrated food that has been pre-packed or soups that have been pre-packed on a plastic bag or anything like that. We cook from scratch. We cook good stuff. We cook tons of legumes, we cook rice, pasta, vegetables. The first day of the trip, normally we do, if the weather is good, we like to cook some salmon on the grill. The last night, upon arriving in Thorsmörk, we like to cook lamb on the grill as well. And then it comes the question, what if I'm vegetarian or vegan? Well, worry no more, because all our meals are plant-based or at least vegetarian, and then they have always the protein on the side. But we always make sure that you have a good amount of food for recovering for the next day that it's gonna come. So just remember, breakfast and dinner, we will do it in the huts, lunch on the way. How do we do the meals? We send food boxes. So both in our base camp, we have kind of like a big storage where we have both fresh products and food that is non-perishable. And before each trip, we send quite large shipment of boxes. So normally, just to give you an idea, is 2 boxes per hut, per mountain hut, per group. Everything is sent at once, meaning that everything is gonna arrive in the mountain hut a few days before. And by doing this, well, of course, the menu has been modified accordingly, so nothing arrives expired or nothing arrives in really bad condition. The good thing of the Icelandic Highlands is that we have kind of like cold temperature, so it's like just putting all those vegetables inside the cooler. Okay, so everything arrives and it's on perfect conditions. Remember that if you have special diet requirements, you need to tell us before coming to the trip. But before coming to the trip is not 2 days before, because by then everything has been purchased already. Before coming to the trip is the moment that we have sent you the form. On that first form, you have right at the bottom, do you have any special dietary restrictions that we need to know about? If you're gluten-free, if you're vegan, if you're vegetarian, please let us know as soon as you can. Very important to mention, we are not able to provide vegan products. We can provide plant-based foods, but we are not able to provide vegan products. While in the huts, upon arriving to the hut, we have these boxes waiting for us, and we have two boxes, as I said, per group. It is very important to understand that the only person that can access these boxes is the guide. Because let's say that, for example, we arrive and you're just craving some sugar and you just dig into the box and take that big package of chocolate cookies and you eat it all by yourself. What's going to happen? Maybe the guide afterwards is going to arrive and say, like, hey, folks, let's have some hot cocoa with marshmallows and this chocolate cookies that I have here on the box. Oops, chocolate cookies are gone. Well, we want to avoid that. Okay. We, the guides, know exactly what we have in the boxes. So it's very, very important that the only one accessing the boxes is the guide, either Monica, Johan, or myself. Okay. If you want coffee, if you want milk, if you want tea, herbal tea, etc., you can always ask us. We are never going to tell you, no, you cannot have this. You ask, we provide, and you will be happy. And of course, everyone else will be happy. Okay. What else? I think, Monica, do you want to talk a little bit about refilling water? I'm talking too much.
Mm. Okay, yes, that's a very good point in the Icelandic Highlands, refilling water. Usually, we can refill water along the way every single day. There is one day, maybe the day we cross the Black Desert, we cannot find too many streams for refilling, but the rest of the days is very easy. And we can let you know which places are the best for refilling water. So just ask one of us, and we can tell you which place is better. Of course, never refill water from a glacier stream because usually it's chocolate color, it's full of sediments, so you have to wait a lot of too much time to the lava goes down in your bottle. But if you refill fresh water from fresh streams, it's perfect. But of course, if someone feels more confident carrying their purification tablets, of course you can do it. And also, we highly recommend the electrolytes in your bottles of water because it's very nice to have extra boost of minerals along the day. Sometimes if it's a hard day or you are a little bit down, electrolytes helps you a lot to be with more energy at least a day. And it's very nice because you have minerals in your water, so that's always good. And in terms of requirements, of course, well, you know that you have to being able to hike 20 kilometers, that is 13 miles, for several days in a row, carrying your fully loaded backpack. So that's why it's very important to pack minimalist for this trip. So you are gonna feel more comfortable carrying less things. It's good to do it. And the elevation gain along the trip is going to be over 700 meters, that is 2,300 feet. And also, it's very important to have quality waterproof gear, especially the waterproof jacket, because pants also are important, but the jacket is the most important thing because at least you have dry your body when you arrive to the hut. But also the pants are important. And waterproof gear and windproof gear is not also important for the rain, it's also important for the wind because in Iceland we have a lot of windy days. So sometimes if you have the jacket on over your fleece jacket or over your base layer, it's very nice to keep you warm. So that's important too. And of course, and a strong sense of determination and a positive mindset, because this is a long trip. We are going to be all together during 12 days, sharing everything, sharing the hats, sharing the time. And sometimes maybe you can feel a little bit tired one day, but other day is going to be other people. And the most important thing is that we are a team and we are hiking all together in this great journey. So, yeah, just positive mindset and be flexible. That's another quality that we love to have in this kind of adventures. Being flexible helps you a lot because sometimes we have changed plans. Sometimes we have a river that is too high that day and we have to hike around the mountains. That is 2 hours more hiking to the hut. So uh, and this is something that we cannot expect. Sometimes we change plans like suddenly. So nature make rules here, so we have to follow with nature and be flexible.
You come to Iceland for a backpacking trip. If you feel that doing a little bit of extra mileage, it's going to be a problem for you, please talk to us before. Mainly because we want to take you folks to the best possible places and for you to have the best possible experience. We are going to try to choose the best trails. We don't have a fixed trail or a fixed route in most of the days. And we have taken groups instead of like for a 16K hike, for an 18K hike or a 20K hike, trying to avoid being with the crowds in the Lugavego Trail and taking them to see some glaciers or some beautiful cliffs or some volcano views and stuff like that. And we are going to try as much as we can to make you fully enjoy this experience and adventure. We just want you to feel confident that you can do this trip. And before you say anything, I know that people think always the same. Oh, I might be too old for this. Well, just for you to know, we have had the oldest person we have ever had on a trip like this. She was 78 years old. She was a machine, or 79 years old, so almost 80 years old. She was a machine, and this trip was no problem for her. So, anyone can do this trip as long as you feel strong here and here. Okay?
So regarding weather conditions, as you can imagine, Iceland has different kinds of weather in the same day. So sometimes we have sunny in the morning and then cloudy the rest of the day, or we can have some rain at the end of the day. Usually it's like this. So be ready for everything, foggy days, rainy days, sunny days as well, because we have sunny days and rainy days. Yeah. So it's very important, as I told you before, to have good gear with you, pack minimalist, and yeah, dressing layers is the best. Several layers helps you a lot to be warm or to be ready for the day if it's a sunny day and you don't need jackets, you don't need you just need your base layer. Of course, maybe it happens, or maybe in the morning you need a jacket, but at noon it's super warm and you don't need it, and you can change easily from one layer to another. Also, the same when we do river crossings, probably we have to put our jackets on to keep us warm during the river crossing or after the river crossing. And then when we are warm again hiking, we can take them out. So you can play with all the layers, but it's very important to have everything covered in terms of weather conditions.
Then, regarding the gear, just remember that by the time that you have booked the trip, we always send you a gear list, a very detailed gear list. And we know that a bunch of people you have told us on the questions, and we are gonna get to see this question popping afterwards on when we get to the Q&A. I mean, how do I pack to be minimalist? If you follow the gear list that we have sent you, you'll be fine. We tell you that. What we have seen over the last few years is that people are coming to Iceland and they say like, "Hey, I have a question. Like, I just brought 4 pairs of hiking pants. How many of them do I need to use? Well, maybe 4 pairs of hiking pants, it's a little bit too much because we are going to be 12 days hiking. Normally, myself, I use 1 pair of hiking pants, 1 pair of waterproof pants, plus how's it called? Thermal underwear, or yeah, like leggings and stuff. If you don't hike with hiking poles, that is fine. Ourselves, we don't hike with hiking poles normally. However, for the hidden trails and for our other trips and expeditions we run, we always bring a set of hiking poles for one unique reason, for crossing rivers. We're gonna talk about this in a little bit. When we cross rivers, you always want to have an extra point of that gives you a little bit of balance within the river. Okay. So by having 2 hiking poles that can hold you a little bit better if the river is running strong, you'll be fine. If you still don't want to come with hiking poles, not even for the river crossings, that's completely fine as well. And yeah, remember to be as much minimalist as you can. Keep in mind that in the huts, the temperature is going to be quite warm-ish during the night. It's going to be a minimum of 5 Celsius. What to expect?
Well, so we expect, apart from a great journey in the Highlands, we expect a kind of routine, daily routine that is going to be breakfast in the morning, 7:30 a.m. usually, and then dinner between 7 to 8 p.m. But this is not a fixed rule because sometimes, uh, depending on the day, if we finish the day later because of many things, weather conditions, because it was a sunny day and we had a long day outdoors, dinner will be a little bit later, but usually no more than 8 p.m. So it depends the day. And of course, breakfast is more accurate. Breakfast usually is going to be same time every day. But sometimes it can change if we have to start earlier because there is a storm coming and we have to start earlier than other days. So yes, depends weather conditions and timing and yeah, these things.
Time to talk about one of the things that most everyone has asked about the last few days, river crossings. In the hidden trails, we have river crossings almost every day. We don't have river crossings, I can tell you. We don't have river crossings the first day that we are in the trail, so in Landmannalaugar, no river crossing there. Then the next day that we do a long trip from Landmannalaugar, we do have a river crossing that it's actually one can be quite strong sometimes, but not too much. Then the next day, we don't have a river crossing. That's a very easygoing day and no river crossing there. The next day, we have our proper river crossing. Why I say proper is not strong, is not very wide, but we are just carrying our fully loaded backpacks on that one. Okay. The next day, that would be from Skylingar to Holaskjol, no river crossing. And after that, river crossings every single day of the trip till the very end. Okay. So we know that some people just look at the river crossings as something very difficult and very challenging. But after doing the first river crossing, you kind of embrace this and you find the support on your group and you do this normally all together like a big group reinforces that feeling and both the feeling of belonging to the group and the feeling of adventure. We are not going to be in a place where you have a bridge from crossing from one place to another. We are going into somewhere quite remote and wild, and the river crossings they still prove that in Iceland. So when we arrive to the river crossings, or to the river itself, we have some steps to follow. The first one is that you're going to wait for your guide to cross. We know these rivers, and even though they are constantly changing, we know that there is a sandbank in this place, and there's a rocky bottom on here, and there's a drop if we go this way. So normally we arrive and the groups, so at least someone in the groups always says like, hey, I think I've seen a crossing, a better crossing over there. Well, let me tell you something. If we are crossing in here, it's because we have done it over the last 10 years, over and over and over and over. So don't worry, trust on your guide. Wait for your guide to cross and wait for your guide to tell you how to cross and what path to follow in the river. So trust us. Wait for us to cross and wait for us to tell you how to cross and where to cross. Okay. After that, you will get ready to cross. You will find your buddy, your partner, one person from the group that you will link to. Normally, we like to do two people per crossing. So you just link using your arm and you cross all together or both person together very slowly in the river. There is no rush when we are inside the river. Okay, we don't want to trip. We don't want to just have a bad experience. We just do it slowly. We arrive to the other side and then we drive. You're brave all together. You warm up when you arrive on the end, and finally we change. And of course, if the river cannot be crossed, be flexible. And why I am saying this, I'm gonna put two videos and both are from the same year. Okay, one shows a river that was higher than normal, and the reason one was that there's one river that normally we don't even qualify. It doesn't even qualify as a river. It's normally a stream. It's the one that you're gonna see that it's on portrait mode, so quite long in vertical, and on the right side of the screen. Normally, that river is just, as I said, a stream, small, tiny. You hike from rock to rock. What happened was that a few years before we arrived, there was a landslide. It closed part of the river, making a tons of water to just accumulate under it. And then when that river splits in two, and the place where we cross normally is quite narrow. So as I said, you can just jump pretty much from rock to rock. When we arrived, it was completely full of water and was super, super deep. On the other video, it's a very easy river crossing. That is the first one that we normally do. Okay, to at least get a sense on how deep and how wide they can be. Okay. In any case, remember, the guides, we are going to be there for you along with 11 other people on your group. Okay. So there's going to be plenty of support and we are going to help you as much as we can. Always. Finally, expect sunny days on Iceland, expect rainy days, windy days, foggy days. We have everything. As Monica was saying before about the weather conditions, we can have all kinds of weather. So we really need good attitude. In Iceland, we like to say that if you don't like the weather, just wait for 15 minutes. We have had days that the forecast says it's gonna be horrible, windy and rainy, and when we wake up, there is a beautiful rainbow in the distance, and it's just clear skies and sunny conditions. So in Iceland, it's already quite difficult to know how much how the weather is gonna be on the following days. But just remember that we are just gonna face the weather with the best smile, and you're gonna just enjoy it. Every single part of it is part of the adventure. Okay, so what you can definitely expect it's to live an epic adventure. Expect also unknown trails. Expect also to hike part of the Laugavegu Trail, the famous one that was advertised by National Geographic as one of the best trails in the world. And once we get to the Laugavegu, after being in these unknown trails, you will want to go back to the unknown trails. Why? The reason is simple. There's tons of people in there because of how popular the Laugavegu Trail has become. So you will want to go back to these unknown trails. And I can certainly say this with total confidence because every single group that we have had over the years, they always tell us the same thing. I really would like to go back. So, because of this, if weather allows, we will just take detours and we will just try to walk ahead of the big groups during the Loigavego Trail or try to avoid. Sometimes when we just coordinate with the other guides in the hut that they are just hiking the Lugavigo Trail. We ask them, "What time are you starting tomorrow?" "I'm just starting 8 a.m." Okay, I said like, "Okay, we start 8:30, no problem, or 7:30 if the weather is really bad in the evening." So we will just adapt, and we can guarantee you that we are gonna do everything that is in our hand that you will experience the Loika Trail and beyond. And finally, the weather doesn't limit or interrupt the adventure. It just defines and shapes it. Sometimes, if the weather is really bad, as Monica was saying, we will just find a way to make it faster to the hut so we can just rest properly and recover for the next day. If the weather is really good, we might just do the opposite. We might just take you in a very unknown and remote trail to show you some place that it's very special, or some place that you we believe that you're gonna live. Okay, so weather doesn't limit or interrupt the whole expedition. Okay, and now it's time to do the Q&A. I remember, I remind you, well, we have put on this presentation tons of questions that we have received over the last few days that we believe that are 100% valid and need to be answered live. Okay, so let's start. Logistics of air travel with hiking poles and bag storage while on the trail. So normally what airlines require you is that you need to have your hiking poles inside your backpack or your checked luggage. Okay. Um, so otherwise, most of the airlines, I would say that they don't allow you to put the hiking poles outside. However, what we have seen over the last few years is that they are allowing you folks to travel with collapsible hiking poles. So those ones that you can just collapse as hand luggage. Okay, so check with your airline. Bag storage while on the trail. If you're staying before and after the trip in the same hotel, talk to them first because they do offer normally a place to leave your luggage while you're hiking. If the hotel is not a hotel or it's an Airbnb, an apartment, blah blah blah, you have different services in the city that just do this that they offer the bag storage. But the most famous one, it's called luggagelockers.is. That they have many, many locker places all along the city, and they are super safe. How do we get from the airport to Reykjavik? The easiest and the cheapest, we always say that it's called the fly bus. That is the bus, the direct bus that goes from the airport to the city, to the BSI, and from the BSI to the airport. You can always purchase a fly bus plus that includes the drop off in your hotel or nearby. Okay. A few weeks ago, we just created a web page within our website that it's called amarok.is/Iceland transportation, that it's basically the same integration of the booking system that this flybus or bus company they have on their website, but in on ours. So it's easier and everything is just linked in our website. We believe that it's quite easy. But otherwise it's flybus.is. It is exactly the same. Like we are doing nothing in here. We are not just issuing the tickets for you. It's just an automatic process. Okay, so if you want to purchase it, Iceland/transportation, and you can get to see everything. If on the other side you would like you're a party of let's say you're a party of, I don't know, 6 friends that you're traveling together, remember that you can share a taxi. So taxi rides from the airport to Reykjavik, it's about 22,000-ish Icelandic kroner. Let's say 25,000-ish Icelandic kroner, a little bit higher. That split it in between 6 people, it might be pretty much the same or even less than the price of the flybus. So just keep that in mind if you're a big group of people traveling all together. Okay. you might be able to share a ride from the airport to Reykjavik. But otherwise, either the taxi or the bus from the airport to Reykjavik and the Reykjavik to the airport is exactly the same time, 45 minutes. It takes no more and no less than that. Recommendations on water shoes. Can they be soft like neoprene socks? We never recommend using neoprene socks as water shoes, first of all, because they are soft. On some rivers, they have kind of like a bottom made out of rock and sharp rocks, and you might just have some issues when walking inside that river. So we always recommend bring some sturdy water shoes, kind of like Crocs or kind of like what, like closed sandals, for example. Yeah, and you'll be fine. Personally, we like to recommend Crocs because they dry quite fast, and at the same time, you can use them as camp shoes when in the mountain hut. Okay, they dry faster than, for example, um, a leather sandal, for example. But it's totally up to you. Whatever you want to bring, just make sure that you bring something that protects your feet so you're not just walking on sharp rocks with neoprene socks. That at the end you will feel it very much. I know that it's quite unlikely to happen, but is there any possibility that the route needs to be changed? This is a very fair question. And actually, a few years ago, we had a situation that has only happened twice since 2018, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, no, it has only happened once since 2018. So it's very, very unlikely to happen, as the question asked. This situation was that in Iceland, from time to time, we have one thing that it's called jökulhlaup, that it's an underglacial flood. So that normally happens when there is some volcanic activity under the big glaciers, and there's a big melting of the glacier, and the rivers they increase their levels of water, and they start just carrying tons of toxic gases. A few years ago, it happened to us that we were about to arrive in a hut, and we finally suddenly we found the road that was completely closed. So we asked the police what was going on, and they said like, well, you cannot go because there has been a jökulhlaup. In particular, there was a Skaptarhlaup that happens every many years, so it's something that happens quite often. And on this area, it's completely closed for now. The area opened 2 days afterwards. But because we were heading towards there, we had to change a little bit the itinerary for those days. And instead of just doing backpacking from hut to hut for those 2 days, what we did was just like taking long trips from one hut around and back and around and back and around and back just for safety. Then, if I'm not mistaken, it was 2 years ago and 3 years ago. 2 years ago and 3 years ago, yeah, that we had the same thing, but we actually were able to access because the impact was minimum. So the eruption or the melting of the glacier happened, let's say on a Monday. On a Tuesday, we were arriving, and there was no trace at all from this. So there's a small possibility that the route needs to be changed, but it's very unlikely, very unlikely. Just keep in mind that here in Iceland, we are just in a place that it's alive, that we have tons of volcanoes, that we have tons of glaciers, and everything is in constant movement. So there might be a small chance that this happens, but as I said, it's very, very small. Crocs with a heel strap work better than water shoes. They can be a good hot shoe instead of a wet sandal. Yes, I think I already mentioned this, so this is totally approved. Expected temperature in the huts. Can we dry clothes or boots overnight? Expected temperature in the huts, in the big huts, might be around 10 to 15 Celsius. In the big ones, might be 10 to 15 Celsius. In the small ones, during the night, it might be cooler because of what I explained before. We are gonna turn off the gas stoves during the night for safety. Okay. Um, and can we dry clothes or boots overnight? Depending where you are, they will dry, but our what we can tell you is that it takes a lot to dry something in a mountain hut in Iceland. So it might be very, very difficult. Because of this, we always recommend to try not to wash your clothes, because the hut where we are going to be staying might not be warm enough during the night to just dry everything. Otherwise, there are some huts that they have like lines outside, and you can just hang your wet clothes if the evening is good and it's sunny or windy, and you can dry everything out in the wind. Do we need sleeping bags, pillows, and sleeping pads? You do need sleeping bags, sleeping pillows, sorry, pillows, and you do not need sleeping pads. We are never gonna be sleeping on top of wood or rock or anything like that. You're always gonna have a mattress, okay? So you do not need the pad, PADS, but you do need sleeping bags and pillow. Are we carrying food from hut to hut? You're only carrying from hut to hut what you're going to need for the day, meaning that you're only going to carry with you lunch and snacks. The breakfast and the dinners are going to be waiting for us in the hut. And of course, the lunch for the next day, it's going to be also waiting for us in the hut. So you only carry your sandwich and your snacks for the day, but you're not carrying food from hut to hut. We just take care of that by sending a vehicle with the food boxes that we showed before. What if you cannot eat a particular item? Would there be an alternative option? Should we bring a lunchbox? Depends of what you can't eat. There is a very thin line between I can't eat and I don't like to eat. If you can't eat because you have a dietary restriction, an allergy, and intolerance, you have to tell us before. Please remember about that. And then I don't like peppers. I don't like eggplant. I don't like bananas. That's something that we cannot cater. We cannot cater for your taste. We cater for your needs. Okay. So we are going to give an alternative option as long as it is possible. And if we cannot provide this alternative, we will let you know. But again, you need to tell us far in advance. And regarding the lunchbox, it's good to bring a lunchbox if you have your own. We don't recommend putting inside a plastic bag your sandwich because, for example, sometimes we just slice cucumbers or tomato, and you want to bring some cucumbers and you put everything mixed on a plastic bag with your Nutella or peanut butter sandwich, and then you end up having peanut butter cucumber sandwich that might be a little bit uh, not so appealing at lunchtime. Do we need to bring cash? Cash for the showers and approximately amount per shower. You do not need to bring cash. Um, you can pay everything in the Highlands with credit card. The amount this year for 5 minutes of shower of hot water in the shower, it's 1,100 Icelandic kroner. That it's approximately $9. It has been changing over the last years. We are not gonna enter into debates about how expensive the showers are, but just remember that in some places in the mountain huts we don't have geothermal power, or we don't have hot water coming naturally, so everything needs to be heated using gas and using other resources. So having a shower has a price. Thoughts on bringing a poncho? No, ponchos are the biggest enemy during the trail. As Monica pointed before, we have tons of windy conditions, very strong windy conditions in Iceland. When that happens, the back of the poncho comes on top of your head, or your whole backpack is just exposed and getting wet. Um, the poncho gets entangled with your legs, with your hiking poles. Sometimes we are just walking over rocks, like from rock to rock, crossing a small stream, and the poncho is moving so fast that because of the wind that you can get to see where you're stepping in. So don't bring a poncho, okay? Um, and you might be thinking, yeah, but the poncho is good because it just covers my backpack as well from the rain. Well, there's one thing that we always recommend bringing called the backpack cover or the rain cover for the backpack um, that most hiking or backpacking backpacks they have. So you don't really need a poncho for that. If you bring a backpack cover, also remember that we have strong winds. So that backpack cover needs to be very well adjusted to the backpack. Otherwise, it will just fly away. There are a lot of brands. For example, we use Osprey that they do sell these covers, rain covers for the backpack that you can clip on the back. So even if they just fly away, or the wind is very strong, they're never gonna fly till the other end of the highlands. So they're gonna stay always with you. Okay. Will there be outlets to charge in the huts, or is best to bring a battery pack? It is always best to bring a battery pack. There's going to be outlets to charge only in one hut that is right in the middle of the trail. Regarding the battery pack, we recommend bringing between 10,000 to 20,000 milliampere hour battery packs so that allow you to recharge a few times during the trip. Do we need to pack toilet paper? In the huts, you're going to have toilet paper, but while on the trail, you're not going to be able to find any toilets, public toilets or anything like that. So you might, if you end up needing to go in the wild, you will need to have some toilet paper with you. So you can also purchase that upon arrival in Landmannalaugar. You don't need to purchase it on your hometown and pack it. You can also purchase it the first day that we are out in the Highlands. Okay. I'm tired of having trail mix. Can I bring my own snacks and send them to the huts? You can bring your own snacks, but you cannot send them to the huts. Okay. You can bring your own snacks for the whole trip and you have to carry them, but we cannot send them to the huts. Just imagine if we would send snacks for 12 people in every single box that they are already completely full. It would be a little bit impossible at some point. Also remember that the boxes are sent the pretty much the day that the first group is leaving the from Reykjavik, meaning that if you are on the third group, you are pretty much leaving 4 days after the first group. So you will need to come 4 days before, give us the snacks. So no, you can bring your own snacks. That is no problem at all. But we cannot send them to the huts. Okay. Do we need to bring water purification tablets? What about electrolytes? As Monica mentioned before, there is no need for water purification tablets uh, unless you really, really want to have them. But in Iceland, we have one of the purest waters in the world, so there's no need for doing that. Electrolytes, we highly recommend those. You can purchase them in Reykjavik in the supermarket if you don't want to bring them from home, or if you are familiar with some local brands on your hometown or local brands on your supermarket, you can just bring those. That's completely fine. We know that there's a lot of people saying like, well, I don't really drink water with electrolytes. Normally, we don't on our daily basis, but when you're out in the trail, you need to keep yourself hydrated. And when we have cold conditions or rainy conditions, wet conditions, your body is not really asking for drinking water, but you do need to keep yourself hydrated. So having the electrolytes gives you an extra reason because they are tasty to drink water. So we always recommend, okay, bringing electrolytes with you. Our facilities, sinks, clotheslines, drying room available in the huts for light washing, socks, underwear, etc. There are sinks in every single hut. There are not clotheslines in every single hut, only in a few of them. And there are no drying rooms at all in the huts. Okay. So if you are thinking about washing something, you will need to do so in the toilet and just dry it in the dining room. So it's not very pleasant. So try not to don't think about light washing as something that you will need to do 100%. What happens if I have an accident while hiking? Do we have car access everywhere? We do not have car access everywhere. We do have car access pretty much to every single mountain hut, but we don't have car access everywhere. So some places where we are going to be hiking, you'll see that they are completely far away from roads. So what happens if I have an accident while hiking? Well, if you're reachable by ground by the rescue teams, I'm going to explain how this works in Iceland so everyone understands. In Iceland, the search and rescue operations are for free as long as you are reachable on the ground, meaning that if the rescue teams can get to you using a vehicle or hiking, you'll be fine and you will not have any problems, and you will not be charged afterwards. However, if the situation is life-threatening or if they cannot arrive where we are and they need to send a helicopter, the search and rescue teams, they do not have helicopters on their own, meaning that they need to charter the helicopter from the Icelandic Coast Guard and sending it over with a medical team, find you and fly you back to a hospital. Okay. So, is medical evacuation insurance mandatory or just recommended? And must it include helicopter evacuation? I just explained that. And I'm going to show you this is a real invoice from one person that was with us on July 2023. It was in Blaujökull, that it's the first hike that we do in the trail. He was just coming down a hill, taking pictures, not looking where he was just stepping at, and suddenly he tripped, twisted his ankle, rolled over, and landed on his shoulder. The shoulder went off. And by the time that the rescue team arrived, they said, like, it's very difficult to take him out of here, so we need to call for a helicopter. This number, 18,700, that is in US dollars. That is the bill for the helicopter. So please, 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 unless you really want to have the most expensive holidays in your life for just a small accident like this, twisted ankle, remember to purchase helicopter insurance or evacuation that includes helicopter rescue. It costs normally about 100, 200, 300 US. So it is a small addition into your trip instead of 18,700 US dollars. Okay. So please, if anyone has any questions or would like to know any insurances that we recommend for coming to Iceland, we can tell you who you can talk with or like that. When shall I pay the remaining balance of the trip? The remaining balance has to be paid maximum 2 months prior to the trip. So let's say that your trip is on July 4th. That means that you need to pay July 4th, June 4th, May 4th, maximum on May 4th. Okay. Normally, we send an email about a month before then. So April 4th, we send an email reminding you need to pay before May 4th. Okay. Normally, this is an automatic process. If you haven't gotten any message, you will get another message the day before the deadline arrives. Okay. So before May 4th, so on May 3rd, you will get a message saying, hey, just a quick reminder, tomorrow is the last day. So please remember to pay for this. If there's someone that needs to cancel the trip, please let us know also far in advance. We are a small company. If we have a cancellation, very last minute cancellation, we hardly can get to resell those spots. Okay, so it's quite important that if you're thinking about canceling, you let us know or in advance, and we can try to help you as much as we can. Also, remember that by having, if you have a last minute problem, if and you need to cancel, we always can help you with all the paperwork for your insurance.
Well, toilet breaks on the hike and location of toilets at the huts. Well, of course, we are going to stop along the way, probably several stops. So, yeah, you can go to the toilet, or if we cannot stop, or we are just hiking and you need to stop, just let us know. Monica, I need to stop for toilet. So we stop, we wait for you a little bit further, and you can go to toilet. And then in the location of toilets at the huts, always is outside the huts. Just in the middle of the hike, and in Holaskjöld, the fifth hut, the big one with the electricity and everything, that one has the toilet inside, but this is the only one. The rest of the huts, you have the toilets outside. Usually it's less than 1 minute walking, but they are outside. Do you recommend use a small piece of plastic to sit on as we change footwear? Well, always is nice to have sometimes something to sit on when the ground is super wet, especially when you finish the river crossings, everything is wet, maybe it's nice. But if not, it's not mandatory, it's not necessary, but if you feel comfy carrying it, it's good to have it. Yeah, why not? If there is a major weather event or wildfire just prior to our trip, will you advise us? Yes, of course, we'll do it. This is not very usual, but of course, you'll have all the info from us as soon as we can give it to you. So no worries about this.
And we don't have wildfires in this.
Yeah, of course. Wildfires is very uncommon here because everything is full of water. Ground is very wet, so it's very difficult to have wildfire in Iceland. Can you use drones to capture video? No, no, you can't. You cannot. Because drones is a very delicate thing in trips like this. So you need a special permit, and it's not very easy to have it. It's difficult that they give you the permit. You need a lot of paperwork. So sometimes we have to ask the rest of the group if they are okay with drones. So we have decided that no drones on trips. All right. Do we need plug adapters for US style plugs? Yes. You need the plugs adapters.
C.
C, yeah. C style, yeah. Is American money in cash accepted to pay for the showers? No. You only can pay by Icelandic crowns or by card. The best way is pay by card. Everywhere. You can pay for toilets. If you need it in some places, you can pay for showers with the car. So everything, every single thing you can buy in the small stores in the hut, like one soda, one beer, or whatever, one chocolate bar, you can pay with the car. So it's the best way. Packing advice, how to pack smartly and have all the equipment we need, but not too heavy. Okay, this is a very important question. It's linked with a packing minimalist. It is very important. So you just need to have a list where you can write all the stuff you need for the trip. And then just have this on the backpack, not more than one pair of pants, because probably you are going to use just one pair of pants. And you can follow our gear list that we have in the website or in your PDF, and you can check all the items in the wear list. And if you have some kind of doubt, you can access through email, and we can ask you and test you back. All right. Should that be working out training anticipation of long days? Like, it's nice training for this trip, but yeah, don't do it really hard just before the trip. So you have several months before the trip. You can train a little bit all these months if you haven't done before, but don't do it super intense because I have to train because I have to be super fit for this. Now is the moment you can train a little bit more if you haven't done before, but not too much. Just take your resting days and be like don't rush with this because probably you have trained a lot now, and if you don't, you have a little bit of time to do it, but slowly and step by step. Okay, so no worries about that. Can we leave our stuff in your office in Reykjavik and pick it up after the trip? The thing is, you cannot because we have decide that it's better that you use other lockers in Reykjavik, in other places, or in your hotels when you arrive or when you leave from the hotel. Usually they have lockers rooms because in our base camp there's a lot of movements, cars coming in, coming out, other groups coming, a lot of people around. So we cannot be responsible of your staff and the base camp. I noticed that some days we hike near the hut and won't necessarily be carrying our pack. Should we bring a small lightweight backpack for water and snacks for those days? We don't recommend you to have a second small backpack for just 1 or 2 days. You can just use the same backpack you have for the whole trip, and you can use it like with water and the lamps and some jacket, and that's it. But don't carry an extra day pack. We don't recommend that. Is there internet access en route? What about phone connectivity? Just in some places you have connectivity, but not every place. So what happens is that sometimes close to the huts, in some of the huts, you have a little bit of connectivity to send a message or to receive some message, but it's not too much. But other places we have more. So it depends the place. And for example, I can tell you that in Lamman and Loigar, the first 2 days we have connectivity, but the rest of the days it depends. So yeah. For huts with shower facilities, is there soap shampoo for purchase, or do you recommend carrying your own? We recommend carrying your own because there is not a shampoo or soap for in the showers. Sometimes there is a small store in some huts you can buy shampoo, but not everywhere. Okay, so we recommend you to have your own stuff.
As I said before, remember that um, we will send the recording next week, so you can rewatch this when you arrive, when you're at home and relax. And if any questions come at some point, you can always, please remember, you can always send them by email or WhatsApp, and we will answer them as fast as we can. And always within 1 day maximum. All right, no more questions. So thank you everyone very much for joining today. Hope this was a good meeting and that it helped answering questions and solving doubts and everything. And we are very much looking forward to seeing you this summer.
Thank you so much, folks, for being here with us talking about the hidden trails. Yeah, can't wait to see you this summer.